Good evening, class.
Good evening, sir.
Hey, my name is Donald Miner. You also know me as Master Gunner Sergeant Miner, an instructor at Marine Leadership Academy, one of the world's finest military academies. Today, my class is going to be about communication. Not just communication, but effective communication. Effective communication involves not only what we say, but also what it is that we do. Before I get into the subject of effective communication, I want to recognize a couple of my sources. Dr. Bertancius is a diversity and cultural communication specialist. The Defense Equal Opportunity Management Institute, DOMI, which is an excellent source on communication and diversity, and of course, my current speech class at the University of Maryland. My experience is life in itself as a 50-year-old man that has served 30-plus years of military service and is currently an instructor at the best high school, a military academy in Chicago. So now, let's get into this thing that we call communication. Communication is a means by which individuals pass information from one person to another person. We will discuss a couple of ways in which we do this. One is by the art of communication, and the other is by our body language. Our message and body language should match so as not to confuse the receiver or the listener. A person, the sender, sends a message as depicted by the little man right here in the phone. You see that?
Yes, sir.
All right. Over here, we have the receiver, Mr. Big Ear. See Mr. Big Ear right here?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Big Ear receives the information. So right here we got message. This is the sender. And over here we have the receiver. So once the individual sends the message, the receiver receives the message. They then decode the information that they receive, which means they process the information that was presented by the sender. They then send it back. They send it back to the sender. They can parrot it. Parroting meaning they repeat verbatim what the individual said. They can paraphrase it, meaning that they can restate it in their own words. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
If the information that is sent back to the sender is not what the message that the sender originally sent, what do you think that process is again? I'll tell you. It's to send the message again to ensure that the receiver has received the proper message. So individuals go, well, I speak and they should know what it is that I'm talking about. So I'm going to ask each one of you, I'm going to give you a word, and I want you to tell me the first thing that comes to mind. Do you understand what I'm asking you?
Yes, sir.
So I verified what it is that I want you all to do. Correct?
Yes, sir.
So did I verify the message?
Yes, sir.
I am the sender. What are you all?
Receivers.
The receivers. You decoded the message that I sent to you. So we're going to move forward. Cat.
Dog.
Fish. Animal.
Animal. So I gave you one word and each one of you came back with something else. So as an individual that's sending a message, I need to ensure that you understand the information that I'm providing. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Because culturally or in the way that I send the message, you may not get the message the way that it was supposed to be sent. Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. So this is the first part of communication. The second part of communication is what we call body language. Body language and message must match up. If I'm telling you that I'm happy, and I'm talking to you in this tone that you should be excited about my class, does not match what it is that I'm attempting to tell you. Do I look happy to you?
No, sir.
Do I look excited to you?
No, sir.
Does this really make you feel comfortable?
No, sir.
It's quite boring. Would you not agree?
Yes, sir.
So if I have a message that I really want to portray, which some people mistake for sometimes being aggression, I must pump it up. I must be excited about the message that I'm provided by not only my tone, but by my body language as well. So those two must match up. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Very well. So the second part that we're going to talk about that I'm going to go into real briefly, because this is a whole different dialogue in itself. All right? Whole different dialogue. This is what we call Johari's window. Some individuals are not going to be comfortable with having that dialogue with other individuals based on what information they do or do not know about a person. Did he go?
Yes, sir.
So as I talk about these 4 areas real quick, I'm going to explain them. So the unknown is an area that I don't know about myself and you don't know about myself. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right. If you don't know nothing about me and I don't know anything about you, can we really effectively communicate?
No.
We have no connection. All right. Blind spot. Blind spot really doesn't come too much into play with communication except for distractors. I.e., if I'm communicating with somebody and I'm constantly clicking on my marker, it's going to have effect because I saw you, sir. You were looking at the marker and not listening to my words. So you tell me, hey, this marker is distracting me. I can put it down so that it does not affect communication, right?
Yes, sir.
Facade, pretending to be something that we are not. We cannot pretend because the receiver will know that the sender is not who they really say they are. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
The best speaker is the one that has everything out in the open, in the arena. And if the receivers also have everything out, it makes the sender more comfortable with having dialogue with those individuals. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so in summary, I've talked about the sender's responsibility, the receiver's responsibility, and about Johari's window and how it applies or how you can use that when you're doing communication. So I hope that I provided you some information as it relates to communication. I thank you all so much for being here for my communication class.